If you had the opportunity to stand next to what's possibly the oldest living thing in Europe, would you make that journey, the pilgrimage to see it? And if so, what would your thoughts and emotions be when you got there? And further still, would you realise just how historically significant the place you were standing in was? I'm here in the village of Fortingall, which is nestled at the eastern end of Glen Lyon in Perthshire. Sir Walter Scott said of Glen Lyon, it was the longest, loneliest and loveliest walk in Scotland. The folklore in this part of Scotland runs deep. It's said that Pontius Pilate was born here, and that in his old age he returned to Fortingall and tried to wash his hands clean of the guilt he carried with him after agreeing to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. There's much to say about this location and its history, so come with me and we will journey through this wonder of the world here in Fortingall. This is the Fortingall Yew, situated in a churchyard within the village of Fortingall in Perthshire. It's a truly magnificent tree with a very long history. Dendrochronologists have said that this tree behind me is at least 5,000 years old, but there are many that believe this tree could be older than 9,000 years old. Now, these numbers, when you say them, 5,000, 9,000 years, it doesn't really register until you try to put it into some kind of historical context. If we go with 5,000 years old, that means that when Julius Cesar first arrived on the shores of Britain in the 50s BC, this tree had already been alive for 3,000 years. The Storegga slide that generated the tsunami 8,000 years ago that engulfed the area of land called Doggerland, which now sits beneath a shallow sea approximately 20 metres in depth. That strip of land that had connected Britain to Europe was gone, and in that moment created the archipelago of the British Isles and Ireland. This would mean that the Fortingall Yew had already been here 1,000 years previous. It's for this reason, if this tree is indeed 9,000 years old, it would make it the oldest living thing in Europe. In 1769, the base of the trunk was measured, and it was measured to be 52 feet in circumference. An incredible size, but fitting with something so grand and old. Yew trees are very long-lived. They have the power to regenerate even after the tree has been cut down. It will spring again from its roots and start anew. For that reason, you will find many churches within Britain have a yew tree, as it ties in with the story of Jesus Christ, his death, and then his subsequent resurrection from the dead. And so it's no coincidence that the Christian church made the connection between the story of Jesus and the regenerative powers of the species of tree behind me. The wood from yew trees were used in the 13th, 14th and 15th centuries for making bows. The most famous amongst those was the English longbows. Those were made from yew branches which they called the good red yew. The wood itself is very slow growing, and as a result it's very strong. It's said that from childhood they would practice daily with the longbow in order to build the muscle memory and strength needed in order to be efficient with that weapon in later life. If you were to be handed a longbow made of yew today, you wouldn't be able to use it, as it requires great strength and ability which comes with years of repetitive training. Within the area of Glen Lyon, there is plenty of archaeological evidence that people have stayed and settled here over a very long period of time. It ranges from the Neolithic age into the Bronze and Iron Ages. Within the valley, they have found artefacts stretching way back into the past. So for a very long period of time, this area here has been important to people, and it continues to be to this day. Within Scotland, there has always been a long tradition and legend that Pontius Pilate was born here in Scotland. His father, perhaps a Roman official, landed here long before the Roman conquest that would follow later, and that he met a woman and they had a child together. And at some point as a family, they moved back within the Roman Empire. There is strong evidence that Rome and other parts of the world had links with Britain for trade, slaves, gold and tin and the like, which would come in and out of Britain in that period. There's a story that Pontius Pilate would sit under the yew tree that's here as a child, and that he returned to Glen Lyon in his old age. He was said to be so guilt-ridden for having Jesus put to death that he would be seen washing constantly in cattle troughs, trying to wash the blood and guilt from his hands. According to Roman records, there was a man called Pontius Pilate, who was the procurator of Judea, a Roman governor of the region. It was he who watched over the trial of Jesus Christ and had him crucified. Just as our ancestors did, this place and this tree has drawn people to it. People like me, and perhaps you have visited here at some point in the past too. It makes sense to me that places like Stonehenge have drawn people far and wide for centuries, and that the Fortingall tree is just another one of those magnetic places. In modern times, we can discover things easily on the internet, or as in ancient times, you would meet people and they might tell you of this place. They tell you that there's a tree that has been alive longer than anyone can remember, and you might make the pilgrimage to visit that tree, to stand under its branches and leaves and imagine its long history stretching back thousands of years, and try to visualize the events that have taken place, not just here, but all over the world in its extremely long life. The people who have sat under the shadow of this tree and allowed their imagination to wander and tried to grasp the events that have happened in history as this tree has grown here in this place, and wondered of its beauty and of the stories it might tell. It's fun to speculate about how this tree started its life in Fortingall. Did someone plant the seed here? And if so, why? Or did the wind or a bird carry that seed and it landed in this place? And for 9,000 years it grew whilst the world changed and revolved all around it.
Talking away, I don't know what I'm to say, I'll say it anyway. Today's another day to find you shine away. I'll be coming for your love, okay? Take on me, take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. So needless to say, of odds and ends, but I will be stumbling away, slowly learning that life is okay. Say after me, it's no better to be safe than sorry. Take on me, take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. I'll be gone in a
I highly recommend a visit here, a lovely quiet village in the centre of Scotland where you can visit this tree. The tree itself is walled off, as you can see. This is to protect the tree and to conserve it for future generations. But it takes nothing away from the experience. A truly magical place to visit. If you have liked my video on the Fortingall Yew, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell notification. That way you'll be informed when my next video is available. Please feel free to check my other videos on my channel. And thank you for watching.